Yo, what's up? Back with another banger video today. So how living on my own changed my life. And I got some points written out here. The first point that I want to talk about is that my mood stopped being dependent on others and I had to take responsibility for everything. So, what do I mean by that? When I was living at home with my family, with my parents, I very easily could be influenced by their ideas, what they thought was good, was bad, what they thought about certain news events or their views, whether it was money, religion, politics, or just what they liked or didn't like. That was always in my sphere of belief. I was always having to overhear them or conversate with them, which isn't bad. It was great to be around people and get different views, but that did affect you to a certain point. And definitely when it's the people you grew up with, it's hard to go out and shape and be your own person and think for yourself. And you get a taste of this. Me personally, I got a taste of it when I lived on my own. Because I lived on my own at separate times in life, but not fully supporting myself. But the change that when I got to live on my own was that I got to see my own mood fluctuations by themselves, if that makes sense. So I had to deal with that. If I was feeling happy or sad or something, I had a bad habit that was coming up. I knew that was coming from me. I couldn't blame anything else. I couldn't blame my bad mood or my bad habits on someone else. Because, when you're living with your parents, you say, oh, I'm doing this because I got to do this. I got to take care of my grandma or I got to do this or that. But when you're living on your own, it forces you to take responsibility for everything. And that is a negative in some ways because you are dealing with a lot. Like when I first moved out, a lot of stuff came up that I'll be honest, I was blaming it on my parents. I was saying, "Oh, I'm only doing this because I live with my family." But now that I'm living on my own, I couldn't blame that on them anymore. And then the flip side of that is I then had to take responsibility for everything. So in terms of cleaning up, setting a calendar, if I wanted to make time for friends, if I wanted to make time to do stuff like record a video or groceries or clean up, that had to be on me. And if anybody's out here who's had everything on your shoulders, it makes you a better and stronger person because the second you stop making excuses and when you can start taking action, that means that you really develop that mindset of, hey, I'm not going to go into this situation looking for an excuse. I'm going to go into it looking for a way to solve it. And I feel like that mindset has bled over into all areas of my life. So whether it's, friendship or it's in personal relationships, I'm not sitting there saying blaming other people. I'm saying, okay, I'm looking at, okay, like what can I do better? Or, saying if I can't do anything better, then okay, it is what it is. But I just think that living on your own puts you in such a mindset of taking responsibility for everything. And it's good because it forces you to grow up and mature and realize you can't do everything on your own. But the things that you can do, you got to be in control of. And when you're in control of those things, then I just feel like it allows you to grow so much more. So that was my first point. Second point of why living on your own changes a lot for you is I just realized it the other day is that living on your own gives you such a great place to come to and escape, right? So again, if you're with friends or families, and you guys know how it is when you have different friend groups that you maybe are closer with, or you have different people in your family who are closer with, or maybe you're out for a long period of time, whether it's at work or at the gym. And then whenever you come back, and let's say you're living with a roommate or with your family or with people you really don't like or get along with, you feel like you maybe never get that full escape to just envelop yourself in and kind of rest and relax and reset, not only physically but mentally. And I feel like when I say living on your own, I feel like it's also dual with mentally, right? When you come home, it's me so many times when I've been like out or with family, it just feels so good to know that, if I'm not feeling, I'm like, okay, hey, you know what? I'm going to go back to my spot, to my place, to my crib, right? So I can go back to my spot, my place, my crib. I can get stuff set up how I like it. I can go back to working what I want to work on. And I can really sit there and enjoy that. And to be honest, that was such a great feeling for me. That was such a blessing because it's just it's knowing that you have that escape plan. And sometimes, yeah, I'll admit, it can definitely get lonely living on your own. A lot of people talk about that, and I agree. In the first couple months, it did feel super, super lonely, and it was something that you had to get used to. Me now, I don't really feel that a lot. I feel like, especially too, since I've been incorporated more spiritually, getting closer to God, I feel like that's also been helping. Hold up. Yeah, it's one of those things where once you get used to it, it really becomes second nature to you. And I'm not saying that I'll live on my own forever, but you get used to it and it does help you become more independent, which I feel like in other relationships can help you out. All right, third point I'm gonna talk about, and this isn't really one of the biggest points, but I had to bring it up. Obviously, I'm a dude, so for the guys out there, I really don't. I mean, I'm assuming y'all are guys, or all are guys. I mean, if there are girls listening, thank you for tuning into the video. But yeah, with the ladies, man, honestly, it's just different, bro. It's just really, really different. And I'll be honest, when I first moved into my own crib, I didn't experience this just because I had so much going on in my life that it was, women really weren't a part of my life at that moment in time, right? But I did notice that whenever, one, my mentality into it was different, just knowing the fact that, yeah, I mean, I got a spot to take a girl back if I would like to. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to, but it's just different when it's just like, they treat you different. If it's like, oh, like I'm going back to my spot or my crib, or like even in your head, I feel like I'm even less pressed to bring a girl back, or I was less pressed to bring a girl back because, I could do that realistically whenever I wanted to. So it's like, oh, I remember back in the days, you'd be in the car, maybe trying to find a hotel, like sneak into their place or your parents' place. And it's like, it was almost like, you was pressed because, you couldn't do it. But now that you can really do it whenever you want to, it's like, what I mean? Like, I don't know, it gives you a little bit more freedom, more control. And definitely, it's just I mean, girls rock with it for sure. Like, they definitely respect the fact that you're on your own. They see you on your own. And to me, like, that really just makes you, that to me and definitely to them, bro, it really makes you more of a man. And then I think there's a phrase where it's like, you never are really a man until you can come home and turn the keys on that door. And that's another point I want to get into. It's a great feeling just to be able to sit there and say, hey, this is my spot, this is my crib. When I come and lock the crib on my door, like this is my place, this is my area where I'm in control of it. Like I own this, I'm saying, I manage this. And that's a great just mental like freedom to have. It can definitely get overwhelming when you got to take care of so much stuff in terms of cleaning, cooking, making sure it's all good. But at the end of the day, knowing the fact that you can invite people over, that you can do what you want to do when you want to do it, it's really, really good. All right, I know I'm going mad fast in this video. Next point that I want to talk about is living on your own forces you to develop your own schedule. And this is something that I just recently have gotten much better at, because in the past I was slacking with having a set schedule, a set routine. And also that was because so much of my life was changing that it was so difficult for me to get a consistent routine because my situation was changing so much. But living on your own forces you to develop your own routine, because like I said, with that freedom of being able to have people over when you want, do whatever you want, realistically you realize it's not always going to be the best for you. Like, it's not the best to just, eat like shit all day, or wake up whenever you want, or sleep in all day, or, have people over all the time, or just smoke all the time, or drink all the time. Eventually it's just going to catch up with you. So it definitely forces you to learn your own rhythms and experiment about what is best for you to do when. Like, when should I work? When should I chill? When should I eat? When should I sleep, wake up? And you have that freedom to do that. And it's a good freedom, especially if you take advantage of it. The thing is, it's double-edged sword, because the freedom is good because you get to choose, you get to do what you feel like is best for you. But it can be bad because, like I said, no one's gonna tell you to not do something. So you gotta have that discipline. And that's something that I'm working on. Definitely just recently made a bigger schedule. And you gotta schedule, times for things like resting, for hanging out with friends. You gotta put these on a schedule, because if you don't, then it'll never happen. So that's definitely been a struggle for me recently, but something that I'm trying to get in control of, man. So that's another big thing right there. Oh, okay. And this is one of the biggest points I wanted to make, is financially. And it ties back, this probably might be my last point. It ties back to the initial mentality point. And again, this YouTube was started during the time when I got laid off from my job, and I had to figure something out because bills were still due. And this is why I recommended to a lot of people who I know personally, friends, maybe people who had business ideas, that moving out or getting out the crib. Because the thing was, I initially moved out when I was working at a job and I was in line to get a promotion. and I would have been, very comfortably paying for my apartment. But in the middle of that job track, they cut my job, but I still had bills due. And a very funny and interesting thing happened where I think of it like gas fills an empty room, if that makes sense. So like the bigger the room is, the bigger the gas gets. And I almost think that we like that are people where when you're living with your parents, you always have that safety net, right? And so let's say, you want to start this business or you want to make a certain amount of money. You want to do it, but you don't need to do it. Like you don't have to do it because at the end of the day, you'll be good. You got that backup, you got that safety net. But that's why I feel kind of blessed that things happened to me the way they did was where it was like almost like the rabbit, whatever that shit is, like the rabbit and the carrot and the stick. Yeah, because dude, when you don't have that backup, you don't have that safety net, but you still got bills, rent coming for you, it really puts you in a fight or flight mode in a good way where you got to fight for that dollar. Like, you going to be up thinking about ways to make your business work. And that's what I was doing. You going to be up late night thinking about how to make it to the next level, how to become profitable, how to make your ideas work, how to get paid, because you ain't got no choice. And then it's going to just make you fill up. And I feel like your potential is going to go up because it's going to make you elevate to the next level because, you got a reason to. And again, like it goes back to the point of everything being on you. And, especially when you see other people doing it, other people are out there making their own income, living on their own, doing it. And you just realize like, hey, like, I got to lock in, I got to get to it versus if I had a safety net. And again, this isn't for everybody, but me personally, if I had a safety net, I don't think I would have been in that same hustle, same mentality. I could have just like relax, lay back, been like, damn, whatever, it is what it is. But nah, that's where the point where that mentality of everything being on you in a good way though, it shapes you though. Because I'll be honest, when it first happened to me, I was ready for it, but it was a lot. But now that it's been a couple months, I've been doing it consistently, and I was terrified. I was like, oh, I got bills coming in every month. Like, how am I gonna do it? But I was gonna say, the longer that you kind of live in it and you live in the unknown, the more it becomes natural, man. I just became more, accustomed to it. I built a schedule, I built a routine. I'm tracking my profits, I'm tracking income, and I realized it was doable. It's very doable, and it wasn't as scary as I thought it was. But I would have never known that had I stayed at home. And I'm gonna end this video like this. Is a quote. It goes like, I think safe waters are good, but sailors are built in the storm, or something like that. Like, something where like storms, good sailors are built in the storm, or some shit like that. You know what I'm trying to say. If you play it safe, you ain't never gonna be able to get better with your skills, with your abilities, your opportunities. And again, especially if you're a man, if you're a dude, getting your own space, that really turns you into a man. That really lets you learn how to be on your own, how to manage your own stuff, and how to take care of yourself at the end of the day. And, as long as you got yourself, you keep in touch with God, you got your friends and family with you, you're going to be all right. So I just wanted to give you that quick video, guys, let you know about my experience living on my own. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys living on your own, thinking about making the jump, what you like about it, the good and the bad, what you had to learn. And, let me know what you guys think. Catch you on the next video. Be safe.